Hi everyone, welcome back to the 5-Minute Finance series. I hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to cover an important news which is also there in your current affairs content of 11th to 12th November, right? So we have new guidelines by SEBI and RBI on the FPIs, the foreign portfolio investors. Let's see what is it. As you can see here, the new guidelines for FPIs are there. Let's see. So, the RBI and SEBI, they have issued this new guideline for the registration of certain foreign portfolio investors. They have directed these foreign portfolio investors that if they acquire, just a second, if they acquire equity stakes beyond the permissible limit that exceeds the prescribed limit, they need to secure government approval and concurrence from the investee firms. So first of all, you need to understand what is FPI and how is it different from FDI, right? Foreign portfolio investors or investment is, these investors, they basically invest into your financial security, financial instruments or financial market instruments, or say securities like stocks, bond shares, etc. Right? So this is FPI. Now, how is it different from FDI, foreign direct investment? FDI is basically a long-term investment, right? It gives you huge stake in the company, which is generally more than 10%. FPI does not gives a huge stake, right? It is for investment purposes only. Why this new guideline has been issued? So basically, the RBI, these regulators, they want to attract investments, but then they also want to hold the ownership of the Indian companies, right? They want to protect the ownership as well. So they are trying to strike a balance between investment as well as the ownership. It should not be the case that the entire stake gets sold out to the investors. So these kind of balances are important. That's why this guideline is there. Now, what is this guideline? So generally, if you see what is the prescribed limit? The prescribed limit under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, if you see, FEMA, according to FEMA, FPIs are allowed to hold up to 10% of a company's total paid up equity capital. You can hold up to 10%. Now remember this thing, okay, this figure. As a foreign portfolio investor, you can hold up to 10% of a company's paid up equity capital. If you go beyond that, so now we have new guidelines for that, right? Now, if you go beyond that, you need to have, first of all, you need to have permission or say government approval, first thing, right? Then if you breach this limit, you now have an option either to divest your holdings, say selling out your shares in the market, right? Divest them or disinvest them. Getting my point? Either you divest them or you classify that as an FDI. Okay? So either you sell out that thing, divest it, or you classify them, reclassify such holding as FDI subject to other conditions. Okay, now this is again very important fact. It has to be done within 5 days. That means once you have breached this 10% limit, within 5 days you have to take action. Either you divest it or you reclassify it as an FDI, right? All right. And once reclassified as a foreign direct investment, the entire investment of an FPI will be deemed FDI and remain so even if the holding falls below 10% at a later date. Now, suppose you have reclassified it as FDI. That entire investment now will be termed as FDI. What will be the difference? FDI entails more stricter restrictions, right? Because it has long-term investment plans. It gives you ownership. It gives you long-term stake. So it comes under more stricter regulation if you compare it with the FPI. This is going to be the application, right? So first thing, the entire amount then will be reclassified as an FDI. Also, say after few months or after some period of time, that falls below the 10% requirement, your investment value falls below the 10% threshold, even then it will be or it will remain classified as FDI. This is the new thing, right? Remember that. Also, the FPIs will have to adhere to entry routes. You have broadly two entry routes of investment, foreign investments, the automatic one and the approved one. Automatic mein you need not have any approval. Pre-approved investments are not there. So you need not take any approval from RBI or government. But in the approved route, you need to take the approval of the respective, say, regulator or the government, right? So you have to adhere to these entry routes, sectoral caps, how much you can invest. You see, there are certain sectors where 100% FDI is allowed, but certain sectors where they are not. Sectors having strategic importance cannot have 100% FDIs. You cannot sell the entire stake to a foreign company of a company or industry which is of strategic importance to you, right? Investment limits, pricing guidelines. So you have to adhere to all these rules. This is the thing. I hope you have understood all these things. So remember, if you breach as a foreign portfolio investor, if you breach this 10% limit, you have to either divest that amount or reclassify it as FDI. And one more important fact, that the new rules provide this 5 days window from the settlement of trade to do so, right? If you have done this thing, breach the limit, within 5 days, you reclassify or divest it. That was it for this topic. I hope it was easy to understand. Thank you so much. Good luck.